Something that Audi has added for the new A6, which comes out a little bit later in the year, the A7, which is the car we're currently in, and the new A8, is they've completely changed the instrument cluster and the ability to operate certain functions from the steering wheel. If you'll focus into the center information display right here, you'll see there's kind of a tab up top, and think of it like a folder tab, where you can scroll through that by utilizing the thumb scroll on the steering wheel, so you don't have to remove your hands from the steering wheel. Inside each of these tabs then, there's also going to be another menu. So we could go to, for instance right now, we could go to the efficiency program. What the efficiency program is going to do is it's going to tell you how certain things you're doing is affecting the fuel economy on the car. You could also go on to, say, the digital speedometer. A lot of people think it's easier to read and see a digital speedometer because that's what street signs are. We're accustomed to seeing speed listed as a number. And then inside of that, you can scroll into your normal trip computer. Of course, the car is idling, so most of the economy things are terrible because we're sitting still. But it will give you all the information you want there. If we want to toggle over one, now we're going to our radio system. And again, we can toggle right through here exactly what we want to do, whether that's the source or the presets, whatever the case may be. Very, very easy. Then we can go into our telephone, into our nav system, and so on. So just this little bit of functionality over here on the steering wheel has added an extra measure of safety, a measure of sophistication, and a measure of availability and usability for the information in the car that you're going to want. Obviously, you've got voice control with the car. You've also got navigation included in the voice control as well. So the idea was, as you set up the car, everything falls to your hands. It's very easy to work your way around the car. But the reality of it is you don't have to take your hands off the steering wheel very often. Audi's done a very, very good job of making sure that you can operate a lot of the controls very simply and very easily. One thing that we're going to do is go take this car for a drive. One thing about the new 4G MMI systems with Audi is the fact that they've integrated a touchpad into the new A6 coming out, the A7, and the A8, which is already out. So if we want to enter a destination, what we're going to do is we're going to come down here. We're going to do, and it's going to be a little cumbersome to go back and forth, but I'm going to do the address. And let's just put in a street in Las Vegas. So what you'll notice then, if you scroll back down, is this touchpad has changed from numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which would be your presets, to now it's a blank slate, which has become the way to enter the destination or the street number. So we want to do Las Vegas Boulevard, so I'm going to do an L, A, S, space, V. So see, Las Vegas Boulevard North and South have popped up. Tap the middle. That gives you your list. We want to go to Las Vegas Boulevard South. We can start the route guidance, and away we go. So as you're driving, you no longer have to fiddle with the buttons. You can simply draw it in with your index finger, and it's going to take you right to it. Wow. So something else that I want to do is, you see the arrows now have shown up. So now you can use this as a mouse to scroll across the screen if you want. And what I'm going to do is just get us over to Las Vegas Boulevard. But then what is really cool is the upgrade to the graphics. See how we've got the range at 300 yards right now? Yep. Well, I can lower that range to 200 yards, and as soon as I hit 200 yards and less, the three-dimensional buildings will start to pop up with whatever city you're in. So one thing that's really useful about this is because your eye will pick up shapes a lot easier than it will pick up a street sign several hundred yards down the road. So if you're in a visiting city that you're not familiar with, the buildings will look exactly as they would look when you see them. You can actually continue. You can continue to scroll in even closer if you'd like, and you can see you get the exact look for what it is. Wow. So then what will happen is this little kind of bullseye, if you will, any icon that you go over gives you the opportunity through your Bluetooth just to hit the button and dial that phone number right away. So when you're driving into a new city or you're in somewhere that you're not quite familiar with, and you scroll on the icon, it's a very easy way to connect or contact with that particular business.
That's amazing. Jimmy, let's talk about the dynamic drive and personalizing or individualizing the driving feel of this vehicle.
Absolutely. There's a couple of different systems at play here, and we actually have this all the way from the A4 and the S4 into the A6, A7, A8, and what it allows you to do is tailor how you want the car to respond, whether it's shift points, throttle response, steering, suspension settings, and things of this nature. So if you were going to set your individual, for instance, see it's on individual here. This bottom right quadrant is set individual. So we can do the engine and transmission to shift automatic, just in its normal mode, so to speak. The steering, you'll see, is in dynamic, which is going to give you the quickest steering response that the car has. So if we wanted to adjust that, you could also make it comfort, or you can make it automatic. And so what that is anytime you go, this is basically, if you will, from soft to firm in terms of response and in terms of feel. Now, if you go in some of our other vehicles, you can also do the suspension as part of this component as well.
But you can't do suspension in this car.
Correct.
So we're taking a ride in the new 2012 A7. This vehicle has barely hit the lots yet. And I'm here with Jim DiGiulio from Henderson Audi of Henderson here in Las Vegas. And I have to ask, what's the difference between a turbocharge and a supercharge in the world of Audi?
Okay. Audi is really big on turbocharging, and we have been really for quite some time. Our 2-liter turbo, which is a standard motor in a lot of our cars, has been one of the world's best engines for several years. What Audi chose to do on the new platform is to supercharge the vehicle rather than turbocharge it. The reason for that is turbos run off of the exhaust, whereas superchargers run off a belt. So what happens is you have a lot less delay in the power, and when it comes to a sedan like this, whether it's the A6, the A7, the S4, the motor will be coming out in the A8 incidentally in the next couple of years, you have a lot more power at very low RPM ranges. It's also something that contributes to its great fuel economy. Because you're not having to put a lot of throttle input to get the acceleration that you want, you end up actually not running the motor as hard as what you would in some other situations. So what that allows us to do, combined with our 8-speed automatic transmission, even though we have all-wheel drive, which is standard, is to get 25 miles to the gallon roughly in the city and over 30 on the freeway. And yet when it's time to really accelerate, the power is there and it's instant, and you close just like that. Oh my God. It's fast, isn't it?
It's very fast. Very fast. Holy smokes.
The car's got unbelievable performance. As a matter of fact, somebody that came in Saturday to test drive the car is trading in his Mercedes CLS 63 in order to buy the A7. He was so blown away with the performance of this little supercharged motor combined with the transmission technology and the fuel economy that it gives you that it's a very, very difficult proposition to try to give up.
And it's going to be 30 miles to the gallon highway in a supercharged 3-liter, 6-cylinder, 8-speed automatic transmission.
That's correct. With all-wheel drive.
With all-wheel drive. Amazing. Go ahead and do it again.
You can see right now we're driving 70 miles an hour on the freeway. Very comfortable, very quiet, very smooth. And yet, if you want to, this is a perfect scenario. Let's say you're on the road from here to I don't know, Searchlight or Laughlin or something like that, and you feel like you need to pass or accelerate, literally just a little stab of the throttle, and the car will leap forward with acceleration.
We got to make sure we don't get a ticket here, Jim.
Yeah, I was, and that's the thing. Actually, you've got to kind of watch because we right there obviously went well past the speed limit, which we don't endorse or condone, by the way. However, it's so effortless in this car that you're never at a loss for power, and yet...
And you don't feel it, and you don't hear it. It's absolutely silent inside this cabin right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
No wind noise, no road noise, but just the acceleration of the engine. What's the warranty on this vehicle?
A 4-year, 50,000 mile on the comprehensive. The first service, which is at 5,000 miles, is included with the warranty. And then Audi sells a prepaid maintenance package, which is good at all of its dealers in the United States. I believe off the top of my head on this vehicle, it's $800 for that, which covers the 15, 25, 35, and 45K services.
Oh my goodness, that's quite a deal. One of the things that's amazing about the A7 is the amount of technology that's been premiered in this vehicle, along with a lot of the features that other cars are now advertising that Audi's had for a long time. The side awareness of somebody creeping up on you shows up in the side view mirrors. The lane rumbling that you get if you happen to start to cross over like you're falling asleep at the wheel. That technology's been available in Audi for 5 years. The custom metal stamping that they've done in this car has taken a tremendous amount of the weight out of a car that's this size, allowing it to have that tremendous fuel economy. So when you're considering the luxury cars in the German family, the Porsche, the Mercedes, the BMW, you really have to look at the new German, which it has every bit as much technology, if not more. But in addition to taking some weight off, it's also taken a huge chunk off the price. And it's subtle, and it's sexy, and it's fun to drive.